In this video I'm going to show you how to make your own homemade DIY boxes out of ordinary paper. The first box, it's good to probably keep it made out of paper, as it's good to have the flexibility. And the second box is best made out of something more rigid. Most types of cardboard will work for it very nicely. These boxes are good for throwing your keys in, your loose change, organizing your craft supplies, or anything else you need little boxes for, or even, if you want to get, they're customizable. You can make them whatever size you want to. You can make them smaller, you can get bigger pieces, make them bigger. It's up to you what you want to do. I'm going to be turning this piece of paper here into a couple of boxes. The first thing I'm going to do to make the first one is a square box. I'm going to make a square piece of paper. I'm also going to demonstrate a couple ways of cutting paper without scissors. So this creates a square because I have a diagonal right here on the 45, which means once I draw this up and fold it, this folded line is exactly making me a square. I'm going to start just a teensy tiny tear in one side, and then by putting pressure on each side, I'm going to use just the flat surface here to cut this paper. It's going to be a very fine tear, and if you want to make it even finer, you fold this a few times right on the line. Fold it front and back again. But for this time, I don't really need to do that. That was just kind of fatigue the paper. But I'm just going to fold it up and then pressing out. And I can just create a very fine tear. And that allows for me to basically kind of like cut, that's such a fine tear, that little kerf off. So I have a scrap piece, which we'll bring back later on for another box. And I want cross fold across there, so I'm going to fold it again. These are useful for storing all kinds of things. So let me get that in there correctly. Okay. So the idea here is I have a crisscross fold on here. I'm going to fold them all into the center from the corners. You can use these to store any type of small things. These do become pretty small boxes, but with bigger paper like construction paper, poster board, whatever all else, and with the other style like I'm going to show with the other scrap later on, you can actually use that for something different as well. So I'm going to try to fold this, being a little bit sloppy. The neater it is, the better the box. So now I've got all these folded in. This is the same side that the original creases were. I folded them into the inside of that. Now I'm going to fold it, see where the diagonals are, and then I'm just going to fold it to halfway on each. And that's going to create a marker for another cut that I will demonstrate. And I'm going to bring it to that halfway mark. That was part of the reason why we did our cross fold in the beginning. And this will be a little bit of a sloppy box, I know. I'm trying to make this a quick... That's absolutely the wrong spot. But I want to get right in along there, so I really want to fold it loosely to that first fold line and then pin it there as I push out. Makes it best. And see, that was very accurate. If I just take the time to do that right, and I pulled this in against the other one and then push out.
And if you make two of these boxes, you can put them up over each other and make a lid. So if you have twin boxes, you can make lids for them. You could either have twice as many boxes, or you can have boxes with lids, or a mix between the two. But now, as I unfold it a little bit, I need to cut some of these guys. And I'm going to use the dull edge of a butter knife. I'm going to use this edge to do these cuts. And the main trick to doing these cuts is to get a lot of tension. I just want to get a lot of tension right where I'm going to make the cut. I want to get the blade, in this case the back of the blade. So what I'm demonstrating here is it doesn't matter here if you have a very dull knife or if you don't have scissors, you can still make cuts. And see, I just forced it through. See, there's a little cut there. And once I've got a little bit of a cut, if I'd done that correctly, then I wouldn't be needing to make the other cut here. But it's much better whenever you do make a cut to, especially with a sharp knife, to use the sharp end. But it is a good demonstration. So for the rest of them, I will actually go ahead and use the sharper end of that knife. So I don't need to demonstrate that over and over again. If you want to see that demonstrated again, then rewind the video. But I'm just going to, but yeah, you just pin the sides, and you can even use the dull edge because you're just going to force it through. And that's how I get my fingers completely away too, as I'm behind here, I'm grabbing behind, and I just go through. So it's nice, even cuts. They're not as clean as some other ones, but these cuts are actually out of sight for the most part on your boxes. And you want to make sure you at least get your cuts down to this fold here. So, now I have all of these cuts. Now all I need to do is I need to lift up these ones I cut alongside. And fold in to make the initial part of my box. So I just folded those up, and then I'm going to bring these flaps back on over, and that's going to lock those down. And this is glueless. It does require some cuts and stuff like that, but it is no glue, no staples. If I put something in there, it will help to hold the box together. But another box over the top would be a lid. So that's a small little box out of a 8.5 by 11 sheet. Actually, they're a little bit smaller than that. They're like half an inch on each side smaller. But that's what you got out of that. So probably an 8 by 8 piece of paper, I think. 8 by, yeah, anyway. About 8 by 8 roughly. So the other way too, this will work with thicker cardboard or bigger, to make bigger boxes, but it will require glue. You can work with just a straight sheet like this. You will want to make some cuts on it later on. But I'm going to fold it most of the way up in half. But you see, I did leave an offset. You see where the edge here is, and I'm leaving an offset because this edge is going to be a tab. So, pushing out, folding up to exactly where I was. And this is just to create some creases in the paper to mark it for later folds, because I'm going to back fold it later on. And I'm going to bring it to that exact point, and once again, hold it there, push out to make that a perfect crease. And now along, actually I'm going to fold this over that. So I have a crease there. And now I'm just going to take across here. I'm going to figure out where my flaps are going to be. So that's going to be about 1/3 of the way up, I think. Now across these little things here, I'm going to nick off a corner. Actually, we'll just see where that corner ends up. A lot of times you can just glue where that corner is, but if it's thicker cardboard, you want to slice that off. But I'm going to make those cuts again on each of, I'll just cut them and I'll show them where you are there. So across here we can see where the first crease was, and I cut all of them into that all of those first folds up that third way to that crease. And you can either do the table tearing method or the use scissors, whatever's convenient for you. But to make this into a box now, I would just simply glue that inner tab in. This is a gluing box, but you're going to make better use of your paper. So you see where you got your glue here, and now you just fold in each of those tabs around the side. And if you want to make it a different shape, you just have to rearrange where your initial folds or initial cuts were. In this case, we should have probably gone a little bit more accurate to that third to make those flaps to where you don't have a hole in the bottom of the box. But if this was glued, you would see there's a small hole in the bottom of the box, but that would be a good box if I had glued that. So that's just couple ways to make boxes.
Thank you for watching.